What's up, everybody? Sometimes technology throws a curveball my way and the audio drops out, but we've got it back. Welcome to the show. My name is Matt Graham. I am here to help, and I'm at a lost for word. Jamie, how you doing?
Hey, Matt, what's up? Sometimes the buttons don't work, but the show's still gonna go on, right, Josh?
As long as we get to talk about disc golf at the end of the day, honestly, that's what we're looking forward to, and that's why we're here. So I'm thinking we're going to get to do that.
That's right. What do I do on the show? I push buttons and I try to talk. But we'll get it.
You like it.
And I like it. That's right. We are here to talk about a lot of things that went down this past weekend at the Texas State Open, referred to as Texas States. Let's get right into our three-headed recap. I'm really excited about this. Jamie, why don't you start us off? What are we going to talk about?
Well, we got to set the stage here at the Texas State Championship in Tyler, Texas. We moved from west to east, and it's the new layout. We got the Thorn. It's a park we've seen before. The Texas State Championship was a national tour event last year, played solely on the Dogwood course at Lindsay Park, which hosts 3 disc golf courses. If you're in the area, go check it out. This one, brand new design. Greg Barsby lengthened the show, made it a little more out in the open so we get some distance mixed with those tight, twisty holes. It's going to be an interesting show, and it came down to a battle in both divisions. Josh, hit us with that FPO.
Oh, actually, Jamie, I'm going to take the FPO.
No, see, I can't even do it right either, but here you go.
This is league night where we can make mistakes. So here is your FPO action. Paige begins the day with a 5-shot advantage over both Katrina Allen and Kristen Tatar. But Katrina draws the first blood there with, you saw a birdie on hole 1, but Kristen Tatar gets lucky on hole 7 here. Slow start for Pierce. She starts even through 6. Kristen goes the local route with the forehand and turns a 2-stroke swing on Pierce. Now back 3. Kristen Tatar, look at this, hole 10. Parks, hole 10. Fantastic play. Tatar ups the pressure by dropping this next to the bucket. Paige Pierce also parks. Hole 10, the battle is on. Paige follows the suit. It's incredible action that we have. You can see Paige there. She's in competitive mode.
Yeah, focus, for sure.
For sure. Kristen Tatar parks. Hole 12, a lot of parking here.
I wish I could do that.
She's relentless on the back 9. She parks 12 for the birdie, and there's Katrina. Big circle 2 birdie putt on hole 12. This putt right here, everybody, was a critical moment for Paige. If she misses that, there's a potential that she goes down and is not the leader. Big putt there, taking the birdie. Paige's 5-stroke lead is evaporated, though. Pressure is mounting. This is hole 17. Kristen Tatar, amazing shot to secure the eagle, and Paige had the pressure there and she missed. Katrina Allen also hitting the eagle putt. Tatar is only down 1 coming into the final hole, has an unfortunate break, but Pierce off the tee pad hangs it out over the road, confident with, I believe that was her Zeus, her overstable Zeus, if anyone knows.
Look at this skip shot, playing with the curb, right? Didn't work for everybody all weekend, but look at that.
That's right. So Paige finishes with consecutive birdies on 15, 16, and 17. Needed those to take this win down. Excellent job. Let's check in and hear what she had to say in her interview post-win.
You've walked away champion more than 140 times, but yet I heard you say the other day that you still get a little bit nervous. How do you overcome those nerves, and why do you still have them with so many victories?
Yeah, I think it's because it means so much to me. You know, I'm not out here playing because I have to. You know, it means the world to me to be out here, and so stop crying. It means a lot to me. So to execute when it comes down to it and push past what everybody's saying, and you know, I'm the only voice that matters, and so I need to love myself, I need to be confident in myself, and you know, the wins will come.
That's right, and they did. Congratulations, Paige. Josh, go ahead and give us the MPO. What happened? What went down? Tell us about it.
Well, we had a lot of excitement in FPO, but in MPO, all eyes on Ricky as he's seeking his 6th Texas State Championship in just as many starts. But Calvin has a 2-stroke lead. It's not the first time we've seen this, right? He begins the day this way. Last time they battle at Ledgestone, they tied for the win. when weather canceled the round. So here they are again, ready to duke it out. Look, Heimberg earns a birdie on hole 4, only the second birdie of the whole weekend on hole 4, the hardest hole on the course. On the next hole, we look at Wysocki here. Really nice, bringing in a nice turnover, a little tree kick, putting it in the right direction. 2 holes later, after a Heimberg bogey, Ricky makes him pay again, but watch this.
Unstoppable.
So here
The
you
putt
think
was
Ricky's
amazing.
about to like grab it, and Heimberg says, no, not quite. So it neutralizes that shot. But here we have Barsby, who nobody really thought would be in it going into the final round, and he just crept up, steady as he goes. Look, only 1 bogey on the weekend, hole 11, day 1. So here he comes. Next, you know, it's a little bit of a 3-man race. Ricky tries to make up. Look at this. Nearly aces the shot. Back and forth, really kind of duking it out. No room for error. Look, Barsby and Wysocki are outpacing him in the birdie race down the stretch.
Yeah. What are you going to do about a park job like that?
Yeah.
You have to do it yourself.
Yeah, as they're just kind of really going back and forth, duking it out. Exciting to watch. Really, the question is can Heimberg outlast Ricky? Because Ricky is making a run for it. Right. And so when you feel that pressure, there is no margin for error. And that really was the question, is where were we going to see the first error? And we don't see it on hole 12. Right. Some pretty amazing shots here.
Oop, Barsby sighting.
Oh, don't you love that unique putt style? That reminds me of 2018 Worlds when he was coming down the stretch and just couldn't miss. A lot of familiarity there. But here is the mistake. I talked about no margin for error. Heimberg, 3 inches too high, hits the band. Ricky makes the putt coming down the hill from the other side. And so that really was the final turning point. Look at this tee shot. And here we have Rick. And you tell me, is he excited for 6?
Let's
What do you
go.
think?
Let's go.
Big win. Look at 6 fingers in the air. He knew what was up. Let's hear what he had to say.
It's an amazing feeling to be back and get my 6th Texas State title. It's amazing. It's hard fields nowadays, and I'm just proud of myself for fighting through the adversity throughout the whole week.
That's right. He's fighting through the adversity the whole week. We are excited to bring you the best here on League Night. Let's get right into it with our next segment, 2 minutes. All right, let's go ahead and bring the topics up. We've got a few of them here. I think I'm really excited to hear some of these takes here. So let's start out with topic number 1. What is the bigger story here? Is McBeth the storyline here? McBeth is not a factor after an opening round of -12, or is the other story bigger? McBeth holds on to a top 10 after an even par during the second round. Go ahead and take it away, Jamie.
Ooh, this is a tough one. And let me give you some stats before I give you what I think about it. During that second round, when it was an even par performance from Paul McBeth, he didn't miss a Circle 1X putt. Weird, right? 7 for 7. Round 3, he managed to do 3 better. That's a 3 down if you're paying attention. But he missed 3 Circle 1X putts, rule of 3s right now. And that is the first time all year that Paul McBeth has missed more than 2 Circle 1X putts in a round.
Wow.
He actually went all of Waco only missing 3 C1X putts.
So what's the bigger story, Jamie?
I think the bigger story is ultimately the bounce back, just because of how weird those stats play together. How do you putt so well, score so bad, but then you just find a gear? Josh?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm amazed at the bounce back, but for me, the bigger story is really the fact that you're a non-factor for winning after that incredible first round. This was a truly epic bad round in round 2. Like, this may be one of the worst transitions from a round over 1080 and then to drop all the way down to, I think, 1,005 on the rating scale. But here's what I'm more interested in. Who cares about ratings? If you sort round 2, McBeth was 65th on the scoreboard in round 2. When is the last time that has happened with Paul McBeth? The answer is I don't know, but that's why it's a bigger story. So look, I'm amazed at the fact that he kind of came back and finished in 8th place. That's incredible. But the bigger story for me is like, what in the world? How do you go from a 12 down to an even when you're Paul McBeth? So to me, that's what gets the win.
All right, you guys did well there. I took some of your time in the beginning. Let's get into topic number 2.
Sneaky
How
Matt.
much should we be factoring? I'm not taking your time right now. I'm just going to take my own time. How much should we be factoring in home course or course designer advantage? Meaning, Greg Barsby had a hand in that, right? Is that an advantage we should be taking into consideration for any performers? There's others on tour that have the same situation. By the way, shout out to Greg Barsby for getting his first tour podium since 2018. Josh, go ahead and take this one.
All right. So, of course, if the question's asking is home course an advantage, the answer to that is yes. But is it enough to disrupt the leaderboards and overcome the primary advantage of skill, right? And I think the answer there is no. And in fact, we should also address it's not an unfair advantage to have a home course or even to be a designer because, by the way, anybody can stay and practice any course however long they want. If you want to be the premier pro at Tyler, Texas, then go practice at Tyler, Texas for 6 months. But I think it is an advantage. But here's the interesting part. Texas State's was a little unique in the fact it was an entirely new course layout from the one they were previously familiar with, right? So it's possible the advantage was a little bit more noticeable. Really quick, 3 things. Barsby, our 2018 world champ, showed up and you can tell he was proud of his home course. 2, Barsby said, what did he set the score at? 25? Well, Ricky won with a 29 down. And lastly, John Willis. Now you say, who? Exactly. He is a Tyler, Texas native who threw a 10 down in the final round. Home course advantage?
All right, Jamie, give me your
Mr.
thoughts.
10 down over there, John Willis. Shout out to that. Josh, you're making really compelling points here. I can really only go by the eye test because the situation doesn't happen a ton. But the one thing that I'll point to is the design of this course wasn't something that featured shots that only Greg Barsby can throw. Now, if you want to design a course that's just full late flip forehands and it's just going to be a Greg Barsby, Jeremy Colling battle for the rest of the day, but at the same time, I'm arguing against myself. Colling played really well at this course too.
Here he showed up.
Yeah, if any two pros on tour that you were going to compare, like Barsby and Jerem probably have the most overlap in terms of the types of shots they throw, even though it's not a massive overlap at the end of the day. The home course advantage is somewhat a thing, but the truth is that you can be just as scared by performing on your home turf as you can seize the opportunity. So at the end of the day, still mental game.
There you go. And I guess I will allow you to argue against yourself every now and then. Let's get into topic number 3. So I'm going to make this as simple as possible. And I'm just going to ask you this question of, what are your FPO world rankings right now, including them all, what we've seen to this point? I don't know how far back you choose to go, but give them to me. Jamie, start us out. What are your FPO rankings?
Oh, especially after we just heard Paige Pierce's the only voice that matters is me. I'm sorry to say, but I'm still putting Katrina Allen in the number 1 spot right now. She's got an Elite Series win. She's got a Silver Series win. She hasn't missed the podium, and she's pulled some heroics to get to that every podium finish stat. And we are only a couple months into the season. Like, we're barely a month into the season right now. Now, hot on her heels, I am going to put Paige Pierce because, you know, to the spoils go the victors. And when you get a victory on the Pro Tour, you need to be in that category. The number 3 spot, I think, is no surprise. Kristen Tatar, I believe, also has not missed a podium yet this year. And she's had a great run to start the season. It's a little bit different than coming over in the middle of last season when you're already warm. You've had some spring weather in the Northern Hemisphere, and you kind of can get into that mode. We started in February, and she's still running with the big dogs. So Allen, Pierce, Tatar, that's my top 3 right now.
All right, Josh, what do you think?
Yep. So I understand Allen at the top, but I'm not going to quite go there. I'm going to actually still keep Paige Pierce at number 1. Look, if you only count the Pro Tour Elite Series events, Paige has won 1/3 of them, and Katrina Allen has also only won 1/3 of them. And so, you know, you're obviously talking Silver Series and other things, but it's close. In fact, if you averaged their finishing place in these 3 events, you ready? Katrina Allen is averaging 2nd, Pierce is averaging 3rd, Kristen is averaging 2.33. But here's my ranking. At the end of the day, Paige Pierce, number 1. Katrina's looking good at LVC. Belton looking good overall. And here's the thing. Kristen easily gets 3rd if you could make the case for 2nd, because I'm impressed by her overall well-rounded game and mostly her consistency. Matt, 10 seconds. Tell us what you've got on this one.
10 seconds. You guys get 2 minutes and I get 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Here's what I think. I agree with Jamie. I'm going Katrina, Paige, Kristen, and I will tell you this. What's interesting, Josh, is UDisc rankings, world rankings agree with you. And also Statmando official disc golf rankings agree with you. They have it, Paige, Katrina, Kristen. So this is up for debate. How does our audience, how do our fans rank it? I'm interested. Would you leave your feedback on your top FPO players in the world right now? All right, let's get into topic number 4, our final topic. Speaking of FPO, who in the FPO is playing well that we're not talking about enough? They're playing well. We're not talking about them enough. Let's go ahead and do that. Josh, what do you think?
All right, so this is what happens in sports, right? The stories all focus on the top, and honestly, for good reason. But the question is, who's right there on the cusp, maybe? So I wish we were talking more about, this isn't my answer, but somebody like Haley King, but alas, not much to talk about. I'm kind of bummed about that, right? Or how about another person who's only played one event? So this is also not my answer, but Macy Valadiaz plays 6 at Waco. It leaves me wondering, right? What else is out there? But if we look at people who are playing, there's honestly a handful of names. I'm going to pick one that we saw on Lead Card this past weekend. And the more I looked, the more I was comfortable with this, which is Maria Oliva. Did you know at each Pro Tour event this year, she's placed better? She started 16th, then finished in 10th, now finished in 8th, and she is 8th in overall Pro Tour standings. And yes, she's a familiar name, but not getting a lot of talk, right? Not enough shine in the discussion. Hey, there are also plenty of other names that I would love to talk about way down the leaderboard, but that's for another problem. People who are underperforming, but otherwise I give it to Maria Oliva. Jamie, what do you have?
Wow, you got through a minute there and gave us a couple of non-answers before the answer. That's next level debating there, Josh.
Yep.
I've got 2 names. I'm glad you said Maria because I debated talking about her, so that'll be my non-answer. The 2 names that I'm keying in on right now, one, Owen Scoggins. First of all, she gives the best press conference interviews of anybody in the sport. You know, don't at me, just go watch the pressers. She has back-to-back top 5s on the Pro Tour this year, and you know, she is 5th. Or excuse me, she's 2nd in scramble and C1X putting rankings on tour right now, 5th in C2. The other player that needs some shine is Kat Murch. We've seen a little bit more of her on the broadcast. If you've been watching live on DGN, Kat Murch really coming into her own as a player. She's 5th on the Pro Tour standings right now, and she has not missed the top 10 at an Elite Series event. She started all 3 so far this year. Murch and Scoggins are names to watch out for.
I love it.
I actually find myself, you took all the answers that I was going to give. And Josh, what you said as well, I think there's some players that aren't playing well enough. And I think that they might deserve some talk because of that. But we aren't going to do that tonight. We are going to move into our next segment, which is going to be a new one for the show. I hope everyone appreciates it here. Let's get into it. It's called Buy or Sell. All right. So buy or sell, it's kind of exactly what we're saying. We're going to
Is this where we talk about like the Bitcoin or cryptocurrency or next stock investment? League night.
All right, we're a financial show. We're going to tell
Ricky
you.
sell or continue to buy on his signing bonus?
That's right. No, that was fun conversations there around that. But now we're going to open it up. We're going to present a take. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is our own take. It's a take, and we have to decide, was that something that we would buy, we agree with, we will own that, or are we selling it? Are we saying, no, we're not there, we don't take that take, we don't like it? Jamie, start us out with yours.
All right, here's one that I heard all throughout this past offseason, and it's the European Big Three. Much ado was made about Katrina Allen and Paige Pierce's careers being over because here comes Tatar, Salonen, and Blomroos, and they would just knock them off of the podium entirely. 3 Pro Tour events in, we haven't yet seen any of the Europeans able to take the trophy. Pierce and Allen both have 1 victory to their names. So at this point, through 3 events, are you buying or selling the European Big Three dominance? Matt, I'm going to kick it to you first.
Oh boy. So I'm not buying it. I'm just going to start out by saying that I think there was a lot of discussion coming out of last year. A lot of questions unanswered, ranking lists saying that things would be different than they are right now. I think you see Kristen putting on a good show, but as far as the others, there's a lot left to be desired there. So I do not buy. I don't think it's going to be what was speculated that it might be. Will things shift a little bit? Yes, but I'm not going to buy in on that full conversation.
Sell, right? But let me clarify, right? To be honest, I wasn't even ever buying that. Now, I was excited and very eager to see what happened as the European top players came and transitioned back to the States right after that kind of break, right? And I think they're very good. And they're some of the best our sport has to offer. But as far as the key word in your take, will they dominate? No. I know we had the dispute on rankings previously, Matt, but were Evelina and Henna ever 1 and 2 in my mind? No. And that's why I sell on the key word saying dominate. They're good. I expect to see some great play from them for the rest of the year, but no, we already talked about our top 3 rankings and only one of them was European.
And to be clear, Jamie said 2022 is the future hope there for future years. I would buy in on that. Maybe.
Sure.
They're talented.
So that's another one.
All
for
right, buy
another
low
time.
and sell high later, but for now, sell.
All right. So I'm going to bring mine to the table here. And I want to set the stage by saying last year, Missy Ganon, right? This is who we're talking about today in this take right here. She had a strong second half of the year, winning the Des Moines Pro Tour, a Silver Series event, a Throw Pink, a Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship event. If we count only Pro Tour and NTs, she averaged 7th place with 1 win, the Des Moines Challenge. If I were to say that this year, in Pro Tour events only, she will not finish in the top 3, and her overall average will be worse than last year, which was 7. And by the way, 7th was if you only counted Pro Tour and National Tours. But if we count all events, including the championship, including the Throw Pink, she only finished an average of 6.5. So I want to set this out to you again. Would you buy or sell this? She will not finish in the top 3, and her overall average will be worse than last year. Make it 6.5 or 7. She's going to average worse. Are you buying or selling, guys?
All right, I'll say, Matt, I also know in that stat we're excluding Silver Series. So because of that, I buy that statement, which means that I also agree, right, that is not going to happen. Now, look, very clearly, I hope for her own sake, and I want for the excitement on the tour that she steps it up a notch. It's still early in the season. This could be considered an overreaction on our part, but that's the question. We're speculating here. I think she did catch some crazy momentum last year. Good for her. And I think now we're seeing her regress to her mean, which is what statistics and people often do. The nice part about this being about people and not just about a stat is she can change that. But if you're asking, am I buying or selling? I'm buying the fact that she's going to perform worse than last year on average.
And I love this. So what you're saying is she's not going to finish on the podium and she will average worse than 7th place. Yes. All right, Jamie, what do you think?
Wow, this is like a parlay option.
Right.
Like we're going deep on buy and sell. I was trying to figure out what I'm buying and what I'm selling. So here's the thing.
You got to take both. It's all or nothing.
Is she going to do better?
Yeah.
But is she going to do better or worse than she did last year on average?
Worse average finish and miss the podium all year.
Yeah,
both. Got to be able to both. Buy or sell on both.
Yeah, it's the second part I'm struggling with because I could see her having a slightly worse finish, like 7's right around that number where you're not having a terrible year if you slide from 7th to 8th in the Pro Tour standings going into the Tour Championship. I mean, you're still in a relatively similar position with the buys. You can still make the run at the table. So that part doesn't trouble me. Missy missing the podium all year, though, I don't think I can be on board with that. So I'm selling, right?
Yep, you got it right.
Here.
You're selling.
Now, the one thing that makes me go, oh, maybe I should have had buyer's remorse is if you look at Haley King and the way that she had this sort of come out of nowhere year to take her Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship in 2020, that was a big springboard, and Haley King dominated the National Tour in its final season, but she also didn't have the greatest Pro Tour specific stats. It's a merged tour this year, so it's a little bit out the window. I'm selling, but just barely.
Okay. And I'm buying in just barely. And it's partly because of that top 3 podium finish. But here's my take on that is that the field, if you're looking at it right now and you count down, we already gave our FPO rankings, right? And so if you say she's not in the top 4, if you're listing out someone else ahead of her, right? So I feel like the number of her ranking is probably right around that 6th or 7th. And so averaging, I feel good about the average, saying she's going to be right at it or possibly worse, just based off of, as Josh said, resorting back to like the average or the mean of her performance. And I feel like, and maybe it's a roll of the dice, Jamie, Josh.
Sounds like we set a good line then. So
Before we move on, though, flash poll, guys. Do you put Missy Ganon in your top 7 right now, just by the eye test with what we've seen this year? Is she in the top 7?
She is right on it or right over it.
that's why it's a good line. I say outside, though, because I think there are other players who are beating her.
And I would give her 7th or better, Josh, because of her, I want to say her proven. Like last year, she was able to prove that. We have players who are performing maybe better this year, but they don't have that proof yet. Besides an event or two. So I think we did set a good line. I hope she makes a podium, but man, if you look at the competition right now, and if she's going to get it, I know we're talking pro tours, but it would be while Kristen and others are away. Again, I hope she gets it, but I'm buying this one. All right. I think we're going over to Josh.
Yeah, I'm up. All right. So look, here's another take that is, we'll see if you buy it or not. I actually have a little bit of a rebuttal, so I'm just going to make the point and let you react first. So McBeth and Wysocki, and then FPO, Pierce, and Allen. This year so far, only one of them has finished outside the top 10, which was Wysocki at Waco, finishing in 12th. If I were to say that McBeth and Wysocki will not finish outside the top 10 for the rest of the season, and Pierce and Allen will not finish outside the top 7, the top 7 for the rest of the season. I'm talking Elite Series and Majors. Are you buying or selling that?
Well, I feel like I want to give like little like adders in there. I want to say I'm okay in general. If there was a way for us to say that one outlier event where one of them blows up, right? If I was to say, okay, we can wipe that one out, then I would buy in on this pretty quickly. I don't see Paul or Ricky placing outside of the top 10, again, excluding one outlier event. So I don't know if that's going to be a buy or a sell, but for Paige and Katrina, the same thing. Although I'm less likely to buy in on that because I feel like the FPO sometimes is more volatile in how it plays out. But
so you're selling. So you're selling.
I guess I'm selling.
There's no caveat. So
all right, there's no caveat. So I'm selling. I guess I'm selling because there's gonna be one outlier event. That's my point. There's gonna be one outlier. Jamie, what do you think?
Yeah, no drama here. I'm hard selling this one simply because Paul and Ricky have missed top 10s, and it comes around once-ish per year. I should probably have the exact numbers, but it's once-ish.
So I've got some. I've got some numbers.
Educate us.
All right. So last year, Pierce only finished outside. The only finish outside the top 5 was Texas State's and Music City Open. Texas State, she just won. And Music City Open was a weird vibe last year because of not loving the NT. Okay. Allen did not finish outside top 7 at any events last year. Okay, so that's the take for FPO. In MPO, McBeth had 2 events outside the top 10, Ledgestone and Maple Hill. So there is a risk they could have a blow up. That's the take. Are you buying or selling that? Now, Ricky had 2 events outside the top 10, Waco, which were already passed, so that's not part of my take this year, and Santa Cruz Masters Cup, which is now a Silver Series. So I'm saying if I actually look back and discount the blow up events last year, that I'm just simply saying I don't think they're going to happen this year. And I realize that's a bold buy or sell, but I am buying. It's my take.
It's actually your take. You brought your own take and you're buying it. That's great.
Insider trading on league night when you buy or sell your own take so quickly.
Yep.
I feel like that's
we get to go in.
I feel like that's the gift exchange parties where you show up and you end up snagging your own gift and you're happy with it. So Josh, good job there.
I love it.
All right. Jamie, we're going back to you. What do you got for number 4 here?
All right. Number 4 here. We have seen on the Disc Golf Pro Tour in every season except one since the tour's inception, at least one player has had 3 or more victories per year. The only exception to this is the 2020 MPO field where there were 4 players who each had 2 but couldn't crest that 3 or more victory margin. So outside of that, we've got 3+ victories coming from somewhere on the tour. I think the era of that is over, and it can be summed up in one word that's our favorite word to use lately, parity. Josh, buy or sell?
Yeah, so I will be a buyer in the future because I think that is where the trend is going. The real point is the era already over? And I don't think it's quite over yet. I still think we're going to see dominance from the familiar names, Paul, Ricky, and maybe even Eagle, right, if he can return in good condition. And so the simple fact is, I know I only talked about MPO here, but I still think at least one of them racks up 3 or more wins. I just think that's still going to happen, but I do think that tide will turn, but not yet.
Okay, I'm in the same boat, and you'll see why in a minute, because I'm bringing another buy or sell here in a little bit that I'm going to buy, and it would go against it. I'm selling. I think to Josh's point, and if I'm reading into the wording here too strongly, Jamie, tell me. But you said players. I mean, are we talking one player doing it or multiple or both?
Oh, okay. For the official, that's a good clarity here. The official buy sell line is at least one player with 3 or more wins in a season.
Okay, and if I'm gonna pick who that is right now, it's probably Paige or Katrina. That's no big surprise. And I feel like with the one for both of them already, I feel like they're gonna be able to. One of them will pull off 2 more at least. So I'm gonna go out and sell that.
Not bad.
All right. Are you buying it? Are you selling it? I didn't know if I heard from you.
I mean, I kind of want to buy my own hype, but maybe that's just trying to envision the future I want to see, because think about how excited we would be if we get the end of this season and nobody has won more than 2 events.
Oh,
it's going to be wild.
we won't know. Yeah, we won't know how to handle it, which would be exciting.
What a future that will be. And maybe it is now, Jamie. We'll have to come back and react to our own buy or sells. Okay. Getting into my next buy or sell, it is that Paige Pierce will have a strong season. Now, last year she had a strong season, but she just missed the market worlds, literally an upshot, separating her and a great upshot from Katrina from winning the worlds. And I think that would have also changed it up, that she may have become the player of the year, depending on maybe how that event played out. Is Katrina or Paige? That the nod went to Katrina. So some question if her drive was waning. Was it starting to reduce? She had things last year, traveling to Hawaii, coming back, saying she's finding herself, her mental game. But if I were to say that she will once again have a strong season, being this season, she will win at least, here's the number, Jamie, 3 more. She will win at least 3 more this season. So not even including the Texas State, she's going to win 3 more on top of her win this past weekend, as I said, and she will win or place at least top 3. Here's another one, Jamie. You got to take both at Worlds, and she will receive Player of the Year. That's a lot packed in there. So she will win at least 3 more. She will place at least 3rd or better at Worlds, and she'll get Player of the Year. That's called dominance. Are you buying or selling on that, Jamie?
Cool. I'm taking you to Vegas with all these parlay bets, man. We're going to get some 6-way NFL games or something going on.
It's about dominance. I think that would determine it for her. If that happens, that's dominance. So I'm asking, is she going to have a dominant season, Jamie? Buy or sell?
All right. I'm also reading into this that you think 4 wins this year is good enough for a Player of the Year.
Plus top 3 at Worlds at least.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know what? I feel like we've been selling a lot today. So even though this might be counterintuitive given my topic a minute ago, I think I'm going to buy this. And here's why. When I look at the sort of lengthier courses on tour, when I look at the way that Paige Pierce played at OTB Open last year, with the way she played at the Portland Open last year, both West Coast courses, the really long layouts, both of those courses are going to change this year somewhat. But she's so good in those type of environments. And so that's most of the way there. So I got to buy.
Yeah, so I'm not going to push all my chips to the middle, but I'm also buying, right? So I can see where some of the questions come from. Matt gave us some context, but simply put, if you actually dig in and look objectively, at least in my opinion, I'm not sure how you might conclude anything different. And that's like, I understand somebody will, but in my opinion, I'm not sure how. I think she's still going to be a force in FPO for sure. That includes this year, including those results. So now we just got to see how the investment turns out.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is in her post-round interview, as we heard earlier, a portion of it, she reacts to the fact that people are talking about her and her voice is the only one that matters. I heard in an interview from her that she feels like people are discounting her. They are not believing that she's able to do it. And you could see when Terry asked in that interview, why are you still nervous before some of these rounds? And she goes, because it matters that much to me. I think the FPO field, while they may have already respected Paige, they should be concerned. Paige seems to have a fire back in. I think that she's going to have a dominant season, at least 3rd or better at Worlds, another 3 wins, and she'll get Player of the Year. That's my take that I am buying on. Josh, give us the final buy or sell.
All right, so this one's not, it's still about a player, but it's not about wins or losses. All right, so historically, Evelina Salonen has putted. Yep, so we're bringing up the putting topic. 66% C1X and 7% C2. Okay. On tour this year, though, she's 34% and 2% respectively, right? Almost half. So if I were to say that Salonen will find her putt again, and for the remainder of the tour, she will putt back above 60% C1X and above 5% C2. So really getting back to his historical average, or just about. Are you buying or selling that?
Jamie, why don't you start? I'm processing that one. You got any takes on that? What do you think?
I'm still trying to process the fact that I just bought Paige being player of the year in this parlay, and I don't even know what player I didn't even ask what player of the year we're talking about. Is it our player of the year? Is it whose is it?
Yeah, I didn't see. I had to leave that expanse larger, to get more opportunity to win. That one.
Player of the year.
Yeah. A player, our player, League Night Player of the Year.
Yeah,
there we go.
Okay.
Spoiler alert: Player of the Year is coming. As if we needed more awards to be competitive with one another.
All right, Jamie, that boat is long gone. You're back over here now. What about Salonen's putt?
Salonen's putting.
Yeah, and really, Jamie and Matt, why you think about it? Here's the basic point. Are you thinking that she really has what we like to call in the game the yips, and she's going to figure it out, or does Salonen have a critical putting problem that she won't be able to figure out this year? That's really what you got to decide.
From Circle 1X, no doubt it's the yips. I mean, you don't miss twice as many putts as you did before, especially if you're a tour winner. I mean, she has 2 tour victories already, and that was before we really started talking about her as the next greatest thing. I mean, she kind of earned that spotlight the hard way with no fanfare. So she has the experience. I mean, she's won plenty of big events in Europe. She's played against the best European competition. I think there's a lot of pressure on these women to come over and compete with their American counterparts, and the expectations globally are really, really high. And I think you're seeing the result of that increased pressure, increased visibility, and increased scrutiny. Circle 2 putting, I'm one to talk, but is she the strongest Circle 2 putter out there? I don't know. The future's out on that one. So if we're just talking Circle 1X putting, I'm buying it. She'll be back. She's a 70+% putter on home turf in years past. Circle 2, though, that's the question. I will buy it because I'm going to give the tie to the runner.
Okay. And I am just going to step out and say I'm buying it also. But is there any, Josh's going to say, no, there's no contingencies. Is there anything saying when? Is there anything saying when she'll get her putt back? Are we talking about that, or is it just like, hey, one of these events? Like, what do you think?
No, it's the remainder of the tour. So you would split what she did now versus the remaining events, which is contingent on her attending the events. But she's definitely signed up for more events this year. Certainly not all of them.
I will buy that she is going to, as Jamie said, I believe it is a case of the mental game or yips, the thinking about it too much, trying to find it. She's talked about that. I do believe she'll find that. And my only question is, and this is why I brought it up, is it going to be too late? And so I buy it, but is it going to be too little too late?
We'll have the first evidence at Champions Cup. I believe she's registered to play, and we'll start to see if we see any recovery. So I'm also buying, and simply it's because I believe in stats. I know things can change, but you're talking 3 years of stats, nearly 50 rounds compared to 10 recent rounds, right? So she's going to rebound.
All right. We have made it to this point in the show where I'm going to toss it over to Jamie. Jamie, give us some of the things coming up. What should we expect here with the Pro Tour?
Well, we're in the middle of a disc golf spring. We've got a couple of Silver Series events coming up next. We've got Music City Open out of Nashville, Tennessee. That, of course, was the place that hosted the final national tour event. Little historical trivia for you to stump your friends with. Then we're going to move on down to the Open at Tallahassee for the back-to-back Silver Series weekend, and then the Spring Major. We've been asking for an event like this for a bunch of years, and we're going to get it. So it's going to be a great month of April on the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
That's right. And everybody, this is called League Night. I recommend you go out and find a league, maybe a new league, your favorite league. Maybe you call them a weekly. Go out and participate. Do your best. Maybe get your first ace. If you do, if you have a good time, come back over here to League Night. Let us know. Drop it in the comments. Hey, appreciate the show. And I played in a new league and I enjoyed that as well. Until next week, everybody go out there and have fun. And we'll see you around. Adios.